All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Underground Footy Podcast. It's been a minute. We had to dig all through up the subterranean to bring you this gem. This is one of PG County's finest. You know, this young man has been a pro for quite a while, and he is doing his thing. And first of all, I want to tell you, you're one of PG County's best that's ever done it. And I mean, legit, for the whole DMV, all of us are very proud of you. But we're gonna get down to finding out about your journey, your path, your thoughts, things of that nature. So the way I'd like to start out is let's go back to the beginning. All right. And I don't mean the beginning of when you signed. When did you start playing this beautiful game?
Are you talking
The
beginning,
beginning, man. The beginning. When did you start?
the beginning?
And how did you start?
Honestly, for me, there's no beginning. It's all blur.
It's all a blur.
Yeah, as long as I can remember, I was always with a ball at my feet. That's it. I don't think there's a specific time. I don't remember a specific time.
Who put that
Uh,
ball at your feet?
I don't know, man. Family, um,
Uh-huh.
I would say family for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I felt like
So
I was just born with a soccer ball.
you look
That's
like it. You look like you've been
that's what
born
it
with
feels like.
it. That's it. So if I was to say who's your best friend, that might be it, huh?
Yep, yep,
All right. So now you're playing as a youngster, you know, kicking around wherever you can. I guess sometimes with family, sometimes by yourself. Okay. Now, how did you fall into organized footy?
uh, well, that started in high school or
Really?
middle school, I should say. Organized
Mm-hmm.
started in
Mm-hmm.
middle school. Um, Charles Charles Carroll Middle School in Maryland, PG
Okay.
County.
All
Charles
right.
Carroll
All
Middle
right.
School.
So we got to
Yeah,
give them a big shout out. I mean, some of them don't probably know that, you were there, not the ones that are there now.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
Do you got a poster up in there? Did you? But
We definitely have a trophy in there that represents the team from the year I'm about to talk about. But yes, it
okay.
started over there. Um, I think it was my first year in middle school,
Hmm.
sixth grade.
So in other words, you started playing middle school soccer before you were ever on any kind of team or anything like that, like outside of that.
Right, right. Yes,
Okay. So now you played, you won your championship. What grade was that, you say?
that was sixth grade.
Sixth grade. So
Yeah,
from there, at what point did somebody say, "Hey, we'd like you to come play with us"? And
it was within that same year. Um, it was within that same year. The coach of the school at the time,
Mhm.
his name is Chester Pinnock. Shout out to Chester Pinnock for sure.
Coach
He really
Penna, well
Coach
done.
Pinnock. He put in the work for me for sure. Getting me out there. The first spot was um Bethesda.
Really?
Yeah,
Wait, so you went from PG County to Bethesda. Now, that's not an unusual journey, okay? I'm not saying that, but it just, that reach, because you figure like there's guys from way back out of Prince George's going there, like Chris Dewey Atsum, he's from here, Bowie actually, and he went to Bethesda. Um, I know that there's a lot of local clubs here, a lot of
yeah,
local clubs. Um, I assume because normally if you're a good player out of this area, you get a lot of clubs trying to get you to come and hang out, maybe do
yeah.
tournaments, things like that. Did you do some of that as well?
Not at the time,
Mm.
but guess who approached me? during my early days in middle school, before even the organized soccer.
Who is that?
It was Omar.
Omar.
Omar, bro. He was out at one of my games against I don't really remember the school,
Wait,
but
wait. For those who don't know, that this is Omar from Touch Kings.
yes, Touch King Omar.
Touch King Omar. Okay.
It
So
was him, man.
he was scouting, huh?
Yes, he was scouting. I didn't expect, well, I didn't even know him at the time,
Hmm.
but he was one of the ones that when he first saw me, his 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 explanation for what I should be doing was very interesting. It was more on the lines of, "Oh my God," like not to be all
I don't know.
high and
We
mighty
need to know
here,
the story,
but
man. We didn't don't be modest. Just say what happened. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, he was like, "You shouldn't be playing here. Where are you from? Blah blah blah. You're a very good player." And I'm like, "This is the guy I just met like 2 seconds ago," and he's just laying it on me like, uh, he's he's been watching kids for a long time. He's been in terms of like scouting for players,
Uh-huh.
and he's telling me where he would like me to be at that moment,
And where was that?
playing at a better, higher level. Not
Okay.
specifically, not specifically.
He didn't have a specific place for you to be. He just said
Yes,
you're
yes,
really, really good. Okay. Go ahead.
yes.
Okay.
And then after that whole meeting went on, that's when my coach at the school took me
Oh,
to a Bethesda trial,
mm-hmm.
and it
And
was
who?
Philip Zhao.
Philip, boy, Philip.
Yeah, Philip Zhao.
Oh, Coach Jow. All right, all right.
I remember us doing like this juggling practice where you have to lock your ankles and
Yeah,
like
ballerina toe.
yeah. Oh my God. I
And
remember that like back of my hand.
wait, wait. So let me ask you. Now, like my kids have played there as well, right? Like obviously, you know Ramsey, but
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw that, and he told them they had to lock their ankles. So it was kind of a peculiar way to juggle because most people like to have that backspin on it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how hard was it for you to adjust to that style of juggling?
No, there wasn't hard. Like I would say I already know how to juggle like that, but just having being in a setting like that and having a coach instruct you to do a certain way. At
Hmm.
at the time it felt a bit more pressure, but I think I was fine. I did it pretty well. And
Hmm.
so until I made the team. However, he said I wasn't ready for their U12 team at the time. So he bumped me down to the U11.
Hmm.
And oh my God, it was a show. Like every game was child's play. Like the quality I saw on that team was second to none. I don't know if you remember a kid named Caden. I
Yeah,
think it's
Caden Demesme.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh, that
Caden's one of
he's
our guys. Come on, man. You know, Peach
yeah,
Young Boys
yeah,
touches a lot of places. He played futsal with us.
yeah. When I first saw him, man, he
Mhm.
was he was something special. I was like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, these guys are good. These guys are
Okay,
really
so
good.
was that you had Nico Neal?
Um,
Was Nico on that team? I'm pretty sure he was. Was that the '03 team?
yeah,
Yeah, that squad was you said he put you down on the daggone team. Bruh, that was
because
your age.
that the team I was trying out with was the other group.
The '02s.
Yes,
Yes, I
I
know
would
that
say
group.
at the time.
Right, right, right. But
So yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah,
hmm.
he did. He put me down to my well, put me where he thought I should be at the time.
Right. I mean,
Um,
that group was was good.
Yeah, yeah,
I
it was
mean,
very good.
yeah.
Very, very good. I mean,
Mm.
we were
Okay.
winning every single game without stressing, I would say.
Yeah, it was a lot of whoopings going on back then.
Yeah, it was too much.
Yeah,
Um, but then I couldn't really keep up with the whole
the practice,
training, getting
getting there.
there, getting there, getting from there. It was a bit difficult. So I went a different route.
Oh yeah, I know you did. And all right, so now, how did you get from there to where'd you go next?
I would say my next stop was with Omar,
And what club was that?
and Omar took me to FCI.
FCI.
Jair Sosa and Raul
Raul
Sosa.
Sosa with Jair and all them, right?
Yep.
So you was
Back
playing with
then,
you was playing with the Latino boys over at Watkins Park.
yes,
All
yes.
right,
It was a
cool.
bit closer to where I live.
Oh, a
And
lot closer.
yeah. And Jair Jair's dad, Raul,
Yeah.
offered to pick me up every now and then to training. I
Hmm.
mean, some of the people I came across on this journey was just phenomenal. Like they were going above and beyond just to get me to do what I want to do. And I thank them for it, like from the bottom of my heart. And it just got even better the
Because
higher
you were
I
living
go.
in Riverdale at the time?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. All right.
yeah. They will always pick me up, drop me off. And I just didn't know why they were helping me so much at the
Hmm.
time, but they really pushed me to where I am now. And I thank
Yeah.
them for it.
All
Um I was there for I would say about three 3 to 6 months. This is
right.
roughly
Yeah, yeah, no, I know the story, but I'm loving hearing it from you because
yeah.
I know all these people. I didn't know necessarily the time frames, but I did hear about you from them before.
Mm,
Go ahead, continue with the story. I know when I ran across you. Go ahead.
yeah. And then I came I came across well the idea of because Jair was playing with DC at the time.
Right.
So that idea started to pop around that I should work on what I need to work on and be ready for a trial at DC because FCI had a affiliation with DC, which was great for me at the time.
Hmm.
Um, so I was playing with them, and then boom, I got my first trial with Mr. Sanford, Dave Sanford,
Yeah.
and he always has a funny story about this exact moment when I pull up to the trial. I was all dressed up. I was dressed up.
Let's talk about what you were wearing to this trial you had.
It was a light blue polo, some I think cargo shorts, and some white and light blue Jordan.
Like
Uh
you didn't bring soccer shoes.
no, they were in the bag. They
Oh,
were in the bag.
Okay. That was your walk up. That was your walk up.
Yes,
You were
yes.
doing it back then, huh?
Come on, come on. I was like, this is a very big moment. You think I'm gonna pull up anyhow? No, this is DC United we're talking about.
Right.
I was ready in any way possible.
Hmm.
What I saw Coach Dave. We got into the session. I did well. Um, they ended up finding a way to get me on the team, which was it was a bit difficult. We had to get some financial aid and all that because at the time
Now,
you had to pay to play for DC.
yeah, DC United was one of the last clubs to stop the pay to play.
Yeah,
Um, they did find a way to get guys in. I will say that, like if they thought, but overall, that was pretty much the rule of thumb. that
Hmm.
a lot of the players were paying to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they got you in.
And that's where it all started. I was locked in with DC from there on. But some of the in betweens were being IFCI, playing some games with the older guys from the team Omar was managing, going to tournaments, and then even playing against DC United at some point. Um,
They
but
must have
yeah.
they must have been surprised to see you in that other uniform.
But yeah, when we got to that point, that's when things really started to move forward,
Hmm.
started to ramp up a little bit. And then I met you guys, RJ, our little 2003 team. It's got to be one of the best team I've ever been on so far. Um,
Yo, that you guys were a lot of fun to watch and like so you did have, if I remember correctly, and I watched y'all play, man, you played some pretty ball. I think in the back you had oh, what was the kid he went and played it with from Michigan? Hayden.
oh, the keeper, yeah,
Yeah, man. Hayden was out there. Ryan. You had
and
Paz, Bradley Paz,
yes,
Jacob
yes,
Green. You had
Justin was out there.
Justin Rainey?
No, the other Justin.
Oh, yes, yes, Justin from Southern Maryland.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
let's
he
see.
was a.
He was an
I think
outside
he
back
was
too.
also playing outside back. Yeah,
Yeah, you had AJ, you had Kevin Paredes. Can't forget
yeah,
about Kev.
yeah,
Um, I mean, you guys were ranked like, I believe, like seventh in the country. I mean, not like you played 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1, but that's kind of where they had placed y'all. And
yeah.
it was fun to watch. There's some of those games are still on YouTube, man. I got them up on Brother Mo's Media if anybody wants to check it, but they'd have to dig through a lot of video because we got a lot of video of different things. But okay, so now you're playing. Now, who coached that team? We got to give him his shout too, his juice.
That team, the one and only Coach Bale,
Coach John Bayo, who's
John
currently the
Bale.
assistant coach at Nashville. He was a national team coach. N- Nobody can edit and not edit, analyze film
John Bale.
like this man.
Yeah.
He will, and I will tell you something, and I wonder what your thoughts were on this. You know, a lot of times when a player is special, right? They can get away with things that maybe other players can't. John Bayo held you to a standard, it appeared.
From what you just said, something just clicked to me about the exact same topic, but he just said it a bit differently.
What
Um,
did what did he say?
we were going through film, and he pointed out that my positioning in certain or most plays weren't the best, but because of my ability to get out of situation, it made it seem like
It
there
was
was no
okay.
problem. Yeah, it was okay.
Hmm.
So he pointed that out to me, and I was astonished by it for sure. Because I didn't really think about it at the time, just
Hmm.
going through like the flow of the game and all that. Um, the positioning, the the tactical thinking of the game weren't as good as it is now, of course, but it wasn't there yet. But because I was gifted on the ball, if you weren't good at what you do, spotting those things would have been a bit difficult. And for him to spot it and let me know about it, I thought it was good on his part. At least not at that time. Now that I'm looking back, I'm thinking, yeah, he was he was someone
Right.
special to us.
He was looking to the future
Yes.
because a lot of people can get away with a lot of bad technique or bad positioning and things like that because they are so gifted, maybe so quick.
Yeah.
So, like you said, you get yourself into trouble because of your positioning, but you get yourself out of it because you're technically able to do things that people
Right.
don't expect, right?
Right.
So now I would tell you, I remember a game where you actually got pulled out of that game. I don't, the gist of it was you weren't doing, I guess, whatever it was that maybe you and him had spoken about. And I never would have thought that a coach would, like I said, pull a gifted player out of a game, but he would do that with any of the players. If they went against and I'm not saying against what he didn't have rules. It was just like if he taught you something and then you just forgot it or ignored it. And I kind of saw that it was more like he pulled you out to talk to you and then he put you back in, you know? Um, but no, that couldn't have been because you weren't were you allowed to go back into matches then? Or was it once you were done, you were done?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was a real match or not, but I do remember that and saying, man, this guy. But as I got to watch the work he did with you guys, I realized, you know, he gave his best for all of you guys, not just the stars.
Yeah. And especially looking back, that team was full of a lot of gifted players. And being a coach at that at that level and that age group is very crucial. So
Mm-hmm.
any information given to us at that time or not given to us at that time was impactful to where we are right now, regardless of what we did with them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think he did a very good job. I mean,
Right.
we were one of the best teams in the league at the time, the DA league,
Mm-hmm.
and we went on to some of us went on to become professional players, and yeah, I think it was really all because of him and the group he was trying to create at
Mm-hmm.
DC at that time. Yeah.
um, and I will tell you that for a lot of the guys, they've expressed to me that they always looked for a team like that moving forward. And
You can't find a team like
you
that.
you can't find it. So I'd like to think every player has that team that they were on at some point. If they're not there yet, maybe they will, but it's definitely a fact. Now, let's fast forward a little bit. So now you played through that year. We'll give Coach Bayo his flowers. I believe he got Coach of the Year that year too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. And so now you're moving up through the ranks. As you move up.
Yeah.
Now, you always were playing up at that point because even then you were an O3 playing with O2s.
Yeah.
And
So I think just just a little later than that, or within the same year, I would play for
17s.
For Nolan. Yeah, Nolan's 17's team. Um every
That was a
now and then.
15s team, by the way, that we were talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Coach Bear
Okay.
was the 15s and Nolan was taking care of the U17 at the
Mm-hmm.
time. And the academy, he was the academy director at the time. I would play with them for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, most of the time I would be either training up a year or actually at that time it was 2 years. It was mostly 2 years up. and then coming back to playing with my age group sometimes for major tournaments and stuff. But
Now let me. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, just going through that transition back and forth.
Okay. Now let me ask you. You're not a huge player, right? How did you deal with the physicality? Because like you would know if you have a younger player and he's playing with older guys and they know that the spotlight's on them, do you feel like, they sometimes would target you or try to impose physicality where they couldn't stop you otherwise? Or did you just played ball and that's always what you were used to?
No, I started to think about that like the higher I go. Um, of course, not being strong enough or at least having a good physical presence, I had to think the game at a like very quick speed. Where because because I had to do that at such a young age, I think it made me very tactically aware of the game. Um, for instance, playing with the 17s, I remember playing against players like Giorena at some point in Evergreens, and that New York City team that he was on was one of the best teams. I think we would lose most of the time when we play them, and those are games that when I get into, everything seems to be moving at two times the speed. Um, just being in those kind of environment, I had to start thinking about not just positioning now, but the next step after that. Like after I receive the ball, where am I going next? Even now, I'm still thinking about it, but before that was the transition for me. Not being able to use my body like other players do and
Hmm.
get away with things. That's what I needed to do. Read the game. And I think for how young I was, my ability to read the game was very good. And coaches has told me many times. And maybe it's why I'm here today because I don't have the size. I have the technical capabilities, but sometimes I can be let down by that. And it's my awareness that actually helps me to get to where I am. And
Right.
the ability to read the game as it's going, tactical awareness. I think that's my main strong
Your
point
your
here.
superpower. You
Yeah,
process the game extremely fast, sir. And that's
thank you.
that's the key for all the top guys is how
Yeah,
fast they can process the game. And I'm sure that's something that you were blessed with as well as honing it.
yeah.
Okay. So now, at what point did you think or did they tell you, look, we're looking at signing you to DC United to the first team?
If early 15.
Early
Um,
15? And do you remember how that conversation went or who broached the subject with you or how did that come to be?
at that time it was just a rumor. But when I was getting, let's say 15 and a half to 16, that's when it started to hit stronghold in the DC community. And then that's when I started to talk with not really with the coaches about it, but with the director, the academy director at the
Hmm.
time. Um, that's when the training with the first team started to increase a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, because even playing with the 17s, I think I was doing really well, and which allowed me to get training sessions with the first team here and there. Um, maybe like on days where they're just back from a game, kind of
Or like a
regent
recovery
day.
day, a regen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Or like a game day -2 where everything, not -2, -1, where everything is small
Hmm.
space,
So
stuff like that.
I I guess because of the speed that that rolled up on you, did you ever think about playing in college? Did
No.
that ever? You never. That it was always like, here we go, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Hmm.
had a tunnel vision once I got a DC. I mean, prior to me getting a DC, there was no college in my
Well,
head.
no, they couldn't even talk to you at that point.
And
You
then
you you actually made your decision before they would have even been allowed to pick up
way,
the phone.
way, way before. Way
Right,
before.
right, right, right. So when you look at like all of the people along the way and some of the players that you've played with and things like that, I mean, are you still, in communication with a lot of these guys or how does I mean, I don't know how big your circle is at this point. Um, because all right, yeah, let me answer that question and then I'll get to my next one. It's just they're piling up on me, man.
Um, the circle, the circle is not, it's not so big, and it's not so small either. But I would say I have a very good network of support, in terms of people who are willing to do X, Y, and Z for me, just because they really want to help me. And
Right.
I don't really I don't really know what else, because I'm not someone who's like, I don't know what I
Okay.
bring to the table
Okay.
for them to
All
want to
right.
help me.
Let
So
me
when it comes,
let me answer that for you because all of us, we've always been pulling for you. You're a good person, man. You're a good person. You're respectful and a God-fearing young man. I mean, I know some people, whatever, but the point is when you see certain folks that excel and you want them to get as far as they can. And not just in footy, it could be anything. You see somebody who's academically gifted, and if you can help them, you help them. You see what I'm saying? So, just to answer your question as to why all those people helped you, there was for I would say for most of them, I can't speak for all of them. There was no other motive involved than just that's what we do. And for those of us that are parents, I'd like to think we do that for any kids, like I'll take a kid to practice. It doesn't mean that I think they're going to be a pro, but we'll help anybody out. If they love this game, you gotta give them the opportunity to take it as far as they can go. So that I'll leave that there. Okay, next up. Oh, I want to ask you, when did you when did you have like I mean, obviously you need an agent to do all of this, right? When did you pick up your first agent?
uh, well, before I answer that question, it's just speaking on what you said,
Hmm.
um, once again, you guys really did go above and beyond for me, and the things that I wanted to do, the help I needed was always there. And I think you guys recognize my shortcomings at the time, and definitely step up to fill in for that. And it was getting the training, it was getting firm training, it was having places to stay while on at X, Y, and Z tournaments.
Hmm.
This is coming from time and time again. You or your wife pick me up for training, or even Jacob's mom, Miss Monya. He he has always been there, and even now she's still there. She's
Are we
still in that
talking
corner.
about
Just
Jacob Green, you guys, who is on my other podcast that you guys can go and check out? These are
yep,
good kids, good folks. You
yep.
know, it,
His family is always there. always there. I remember going to tournaments, staying with them, being taken care of as if I was one of them. And that's what I felt like from you guys. That's why I think it's not more of my, I don't know, I don't really want to call it like a circle because it's different with friends, but this network of support that I have is just it's what keeps me where I am for sure.
Right, right. And I mean, I will say that like during this time, I recall like you went through some injuries. So I'll talk to all players about the adversity that every player faces. If you pursue it as a pro career, if you pursue it at any higher level, I try to always talk about this with the guys I interview because I think it's important for players that want to walk those pathways to understand that it's not just, easy, right?
It's not.
It's not,
It's
right?
definitely not. No.
So,
It,
so, so how did you deal with like your first real injury, like when you had to maybe sit down for a while?
well, once again, it falls back on the support that I have. This time, my family, my mom specifically, um, going here and there for doctor's appointments, taking up work. That was just the norm. Um, but when it comes to like the mental aspect of dealing with injuries, I had my fair share of fight. My first injury was a broken wrist, my left wrist. I thought it was never gonna heal ever again.
Fortunately, you don't
Um,
really play with your wrist, so I mean, it is messed up,
right,
but
right.
right. You just
But
can't do the throw-ins, man.
it was the first one. It was the first one, and it freaked me out for sure. I
How old were
remember
you when that
just
happened?
that was during Coach Dave. I think Coach Dave's time when I
So
was
like
with Coach
14,
Dave. 13,
13.
14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know. It was such a small injury. I mean, when you look at things in a broader perspective, it was such a small injury, but it really had me thinking because it was my first fractured in the wrist, and I was crying over that. And then it comes to the more severe ones or the more, I don't know, mental one was
Hmm.
there was one in the academy where I had to miss a whole showcase for, and I remember crying multiple times because I was injured at the time and missing a
A, re
showcase.
a really good opportunity. Right, right, right.
Yeah, and I was like, no. And then after that, there was even bigger ones, which was the mean like professional ones where I have been a pro for a couple, probably 3 years now, and then boom comes a first real muscle injury, my quad. Um, that one really had me on the
Now, was
it
that
had me in
was
the dump.
that was that a collision or was that just a repetitive motion or a no a non-contact injury?
That one was a non-contact.
Those are the
That one,
worst. Those
yeah.
those appear to be the worst ones when people go down and no one's near them.
hmm That one
Yeah.
was the biggest one.
Now,
And I hope it stays the biggest one.
yeah.
Um, I was fighting through that one. I had to. There was a lady at DC, um, a therapist. Um, I forgot her name, but I will always have to talk to her every now and then, just keeping me on track um, when it comes to the mental side of things. But really, it was the it was the support from my mom, and I don't. not necessarily myself, but just the drive to want to get to where I am or where I want to get to that kept me going and that kept me wanting more after every time I got knocked down due to injury or something else. It
Okay.
was 100% support and the drive.
All right. Now, the other thing that players, I think it's a little more out there now than it used to be, but it's like going on loan for various reasons or, those types of things. How do those conversations go? Like if like for instance, if DC says we're gonna put you on loan to maybe Loudon at some point, right?
Yeah.
And so how do those conversations go? Do they just say, hey, we need you to get more burn or
Yeah,
playing
well,
time?
that was my first loan. Having been signed to DC at a very, very young age at the time
Right.
and not being ready for that level of intensity. It was at that time it was an easy conversation because here comes Louding, uh, not much lesser when it comes to physicality, but in the quality of the game, just a
Hmm.
bit more. DC is just a bit more than they are. So it went something like this. Since you're here, you're now a pro, you don't really have it yet to break through. It would be best instead of playing with the academies every weekend, which seems to be easy, that you go to Loudon and try to develop a bit more over there, where it's going to be a bit more challenging for you. Things are not going to be so easy. You're going to have to work through certain adversities or certain circumstances, and it's going to be helpful. And I was all for it. Um,
Hmm.
I wanted to play for Loudon for sure, and it
Right.
was that easy.
And um, I want to know if you agree with this. I've told parents that have asked me and players, you want to play, right?
Mhm.
So sometimes you go and you play is better than being somewhere else and not playing as much. I mean, as you as a player, I'm asking you, would you rather play every game or would you want to be like I used to see it with parents where they would put a player on a team because the team was great and the kid's sitting on the bench, but
Mm.
they're on that team. So I guess you can say, hey, I'm on the top elite premier, this, that, and the other, but you could have been a stage down and really helping a team compete.
At a, I don't want to say young age or early in your career,
Hmm.
it's much more beneficial to be playing, I suppose, just sitting on the bench, no matter where you are. If
Right.
it's early in your career, you want to have the most experience before you can get to that next level. And
Hmm.
that's what's gonna give you that experience. You're gonna have
Okay.
to you're gonna have to you're gonna have to want to be at a place where you will develop, but it wouldn't be easy. So then getting to the next level would be much more of a smooth transition.
Okay. Now, you bounced, then I might have, I don't know the exact chronology of this, but you went to Europe, correct?
Hmm.
What are some of I don't know, which team did you go to?
It was Belgium's second division SK Beveren.
Okay. Now let's talk about some of the harder sides of transitioning to leaving home, because for the most part, you came up in this area, you played for the hometown team.
Hmm.
Loudon is still part of, We'll argue the DMV, right?
Yeah.
And then boom, you're going to Belgium. Was that a French speaking part of Belgium?
Well, yes, French, Dutch, and a little sprinkle of English.
Okay. So how hard is that to go somewhere where all of a sudden, the culture is different, the training could be different. I don't know if the mentality is different. I mean, can you share some of like what it's like initially when you go to Europe? Because a lot of people will tell people, "Oh, you should just go to Europe." Like they think you can just punch the clock or sign up and now you're on a German team, a French team,
Mhm.
in Belgium, Brazil. I don't know. But what's it like?
In my case, I would say it was difficult. In the beginning, it was difficult.
Hmm.
Now looking back, one of the reasons why it was difficult was when I was leaving from here, I wasn't in the best form when it comes to playing. That
Hmm.
was one of the reasons why I found it difficult.
Hmm.
Secondly, I mean, the language is an obvious one, but they also spoke English sometimes. So whenever I had question or misunderstanding, there was someone there to explain. But there are certain things that wouldn't be explained, and we would just go through it, and you just have to watch other people. But
Hmm.
language, being informed, and obviously now being away from home,
Yeah.
and those three things, I would say, really got to me when I got there. Um, I kind of got settled in. There was a guy from the US already there, Tyler Wolf. He ended up being my roommate, so it was a bit helpful in that sense. But me not being in good form played a big
Hmm.
role because I think I would say I did get some good chances to prove myself, but I just didn't, at least not to the expectation.
Hmm.
And obviously it came back to bite me, and I had to come back. But there were definitely some struggles outside of the game, living in a foreign area. But the main thing I would say is, at least for me, would be you will want to be in a good peak peak form going into situations like that. At least that's one thing, or that's one of the main things that you can get out of the way and focus on the other small stuff, like being out in different country.
Hmm.
Once you get the soccer down, for me, everything is fine. Once
Yeah, yeah.
once the soccer is fine, we can work through everything else.
I mean, when these deals come through or these opportunities come, I think a lot of people feel like, hey, I got to take advantage because you never promised that it's going to come again or whatever. So is it kind of like you're saying be in peak form, but maybe you can't really control that, can you? I mean, if form comes and goes, I mean, do you feel like form coming and going is something that's pretty much every player goes through?
Yes, yes,
Hmm.
but in order to get the right timing, you wouldn't want to ask for
A transfer.
yes, especially that big of a transition. If
Hmm.
you know that you're struggling a bit, um, in my case, I think that was one of the main points. Um, the offer came on the table, or at least I asked for the offer, and they came, and I was like, why not? Not realizing that in order to take this, I need to take other things into consideration. That one is not going to be easy. Two, different country. Three, being out of home. They all fall in the same category, but it's just if you can, it's
Hmm.
best to be in good form and ask for those kind of moves because then you can manage the other things.
Right.
You can manage being away from family. But if the number one reason why you're going there is not working out, everything is gonna fall apart
Okay.
eventually.
All right. Now, quite obviously, you love this game through the ups and the downs of it. Um, and that I commend. I see players like that, and then I see some players that if it ain't going the way they want it to go, they kind of like, I could be doing something else. And a lot of them do. And I have no issues with that. All right. So now you've I believe you've been so you've been at a total of maybe three MLS clubs, would you say?
Hmm.
Okay. What are the differences? Like between like okay, you were at DC, I believe you were at RSL and
Yeah,
Minnesota.
yeah.
What did you see as the differences in the way the clubs operate?
The club. Mm,
I mean,
It's not
I
much of a difference, honestly.
really in
But
the
when it comes to the
MLS,
teams,
yeah. Okay.
the style of play, yeah, then there's a difference. But when it comes to the club off the field stuff, it's all so similar.
It's very, very similar. All
Yeah.
right. Now I'm gonna date this a little bit because I did tune in. We were supposed to do this podcast, and I saw that, you guys were playing in the Open Cup. So I did watch the match yesterday, but I know you were saying that you're on the mend and they wanted you to be out there and I maybe be available, but you know.
Yeah. I'm suffering from an injury.
Mhm.
It's an ankle sprain, but should be fine.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, you were warming up.
Yeah, but that I wasn't warming up to play. I was
You
more like a PT thing. Yeah,
right.
just working out.
Okay, well, we're gonna look forward to seeing you out there with Loudon. And dude, man, let me tell you something. I truly appreciate you being so forthcoming. I mean, you've always been a quiet dude, well, not really. You kind of weren't so quiet. I'm not gonna lie. You were quiet in the back of that car,
Uh,
but you're not one of those guys that's just all over social media and talking reckless or having look at me moments. So people are very excited when you do speak, and I think that you were very forthcoming and so I want to thank you for coming on the Underground Footy Podcast. Now, is there anything that you would like to add? Anything you want to say to, players that are trying to follow that path, encouragement, what they need to work on, anything like that. I want to give you the last words in this thing.
for me, there's not much. There's not much to say. If you want this, just go for it. But at the same time, um, so far I've learned that for whatever you want, you should be willing to suffer anything to get it. If it's something that you really want, just be willing to take the hits that comes with it. That's it.
You don't
And
appreciate something you don't sacrifice for, huh?
right.
No, I agree.
Sorry about that.
All right,
But yeah,
look. I'm
That's it.
not gonna hold you up, and we'll be out there to watch you this summer. And all the guys are coming home, the ones that are playing in school and all of that. And I'm hoping that you'll come around and you know, hang out. I know you're living out in Loudon now, I take it.
I'm in Reston.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm in Reston.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know when you're back over on this side of town. You can hit us up. We'll take you out to eat, whatever. All right, you come by the crib. I'm gonna make sure I tell mom. You tell your mom I said hey, and I'll let Rhonda know that you said hi. All right. And
Yes,
I
please.
want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Underground Footy Podcast. I'm hoping that you guys will forward this to over your social media. We're gonna put some clips out. We're gonna hype you up. I know that's not your thing, but it is mine. And I always have supported, the guys in the area and guys that are in the fight. So again, I want to thank you, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Okay.